Let's be honest, somewhere on your computer there's a special folder full of riff ideas. These are your best riffs, they all have real potential. But there's a problem, they never turn into finished songs. Then time goes on, life gets busy, and at some point it feels like your best riffs were just wasted and forgotten. It creates a false but such a painful feeling like I'm bad at music or my album will never be released. But here's the truth, the only thing that holds you back is not the time, not the inspiration, and not even the gear. It's the wrong approach. The general idea seems so easy. You take the initial riff, then take some actions, and eventually it turns into the finished song. But this is exactly where 80% of beginners fail. This happens because you focus on the entire song, because it's the final goal. But at the same time you're missing the most important thing, the development phase. This wrong approach can be described as just do something, and it's not enough to achieve a really strong result. This is a big and very common mistake that can take many different forms. I'll show you how it looks like when you're stuck in it. If you recognize yourself in any of the following cases, it's a really warning sign. Mistake number 1. The riff salad approach. This mistake looks like this. You have a starting riff and then ask yourself, what should I play next? Then you write the next riff and come back to the same question again. Each time you have a riff after riff after riff without any underlying song structure. It may feel like you're making a progress, but it's a trap. You're just switching riffs instead of writing a coherent music. Eventually, you get the thing that I call a riff salad, a very incoherent track made up from random riff ideas thrown together. It's a very bad approach and it will always fail you. Mistake number 2. You keep the same energy level for different song parts. You try to make every part of the song as extreme as possible, keeping the highest energy level. But the paradox is that a listener will actually find this kind of music boring. When multiple sections of a song have the same energy level, it feels like nothing is changing. A very common mistake mostly in metal genre, and this is the exact same time when listeners start to lose their interest and leave. Mistake number 3. The early judgment. It feels like you're very open to self-criticism and want to get the best possible result. So you write a few fragments, listen to them, then improve them, and then repeat the entire process. After several iterations, the fragments become completely different, but the improvement cycle never ends. Eventually, you stop loving your project and decide to start a new one instead. This wrong approach makes you start from the very beginning every new time. Also, it makes it absolutely impossible to finalize the initial musical idea. Mistake number 4. Missing composing and production. When you have initial idea, this music in your head, in your imagination, it sounds absolutely perfect. But once you start working, all the intermediate results sound absolutely ugly and disappointing. Each new step feels useless until you stop believing in the initial idea and leave it unfinished. That's how the result gets killed too early, before even getting a chance to be developed. All of these examples don't mean you're a bad musician, they point to the wrong actions. There is one common aspect in all of those mistakes, the absence of the development phase. When you apply the right framework, you will see instant results. The professional approach is to divide the song development into clear steps. Here's the songwriting framework that truly works. We'll break it down in detail, but first, like and subscribe. This helps my channel to grow. So, when we have the initial riff idea, our first goal is to understand its purpose and place in a song. Then write a song core. Next, develop the song form, and then work on details and finalize the song. The crucial part here is writing the song core. It's the first solid step toward a finished song. You should always start from this step when turning a riff into the song. Let's dive deeper. In future, the song will consist of different parts that can be classified as essential and secondary. The essential parts are the verse and the chorus. We can't imagine a song without them. Usually, they are connected by a pre-chorus. Together, these form the core of a song. All other parts are secondary. They can vary, and you are free to arrange them however you like. Their role is to make the essential parts shine. That's why your first goal on the way to finishing a song is to complete the song core. Once that's done, every next step becomes much easier. That's the reason why I try to convert all my great riff ideas into the song chorus as fast as possible. Well, how does the song core looks in my work file? I'll show you a real DAW project. Here's how it looks like, an actual music I'm writing from a riff. These are the two essential song parts, the verse and the chorus, connected by a pre-chorus. And there's just three instruments: guitar, chord progression and drums. The guitar is a line input record, without double tracking or any serious editing. The goal is to record it as quickly as possible. Chord progression is extremely important. It's the underlying harmony of the riff that helps multiple instruments play together and keep the entire song coherent. It's very important to get it right from the very early stages of the development. Another instrument is the drums. The drum line always shapes the performance of your riff. That's why you need the right drum pattern as soon as you have a guitar riff sketch. You don't necessarily have to manage a DAW project. You can also write all these lines in Guitar Pro. I prefer to work in both projects simultaneously. Just choose the way that works best for you. As you can see, the general idea is very simple, only the essential parts of a song played with just three main instruments, but this is exactly what you need on this specific stage. Please note, these are not the final recordings, no polished drums, no additional details or effects. It doesn't sound like a finished music, but it must perfectly represent your musical idea with its essential structure. But here's a very tricky thing. How can I be sure that those three riffs in my early project truly fit together? What prevents them from being random? The secret is that on the one hand side they are different riffs, but on the other hand side they are not independent ideas. They all are the different forms of one general musical idea. Think of it as puzzle pieces. You don't invent a new piece, you just find the right one for the right spot. To achieve this, musicians use structural tactics. Here are the top 3 tactics that help you write different riffs that fit together in a song perfectly. Tactic number 1. Use shared harmony. When different riffs are written over the same chord progression, they already have a lot in common. This helps to maintain the same vibe throughout your music, which is very important. Using the same chord progression for different parts is a very commonly used tip by professionals. Tactic number 2. Use the same rhythmic elements. Remember, in riffs you hear not just the notes. The rhythm is often even more important in metal music. When you incorporate the same rhythmic fragments, different riffs start to feel familiar and connected. Sometimes even just a few matching note durations can make different riffs relate to each other. Tactic number 3. Use the same motifs and fragments. I think it's the most common way to connect two different riffs together. Just take a part of an existing riff and copy into the next one. When a listener hears the same fragment, it creates a connection. Suddenly, the new riff feels familiar. It's such a simple yet incredibly powerful method. These tactics are different, but they share one important idea. Different riffs must have something in common. That's the reason different riffs start to complement each other. It can be a harmony, a rhythm, or just simply fragments, but this is the reason a listener starts to feel the connections. As more connections you give to your listeners, as more your music sounds coherent. Let's come back to the framework and to the song core. Do I really need to write all these lines for every riff idea? It might seem like I'm just increasing my workload. 3 riffs instead of 1 and 3 instrument lines when just the guitar might seem enough. But here's a hidden paradox. The more my idea is developed on this specific stage, then easier it will be for me later. It might seem like I'm doing more than enough, but in reality I help myself and speed up the entire composing process. That's why I try to store all my riff ideas as track cores. It also makes it easy to store riff ideas. I can always come back to them later. This file holds all the important information, so I don't need to remember anything. I can just open it and continue working. If everything is done correctly, the next composing steps are the pure joy. This is the moment when you feel that all your limitations start to transform into the opportunities. On my channel, I share the information and knowledge I have about songwriting and metal composing. Please support my channel by likes, subscribes, and leave me a positive comment. This truly helps me. But there's still a big challenge to keep in mind. How to write a metal song from different parts while making sure it's not boring. It's the biggest mistake at this composing step, and don't think it won't happen to you. This is the exact point where 80% of self-taught composers fail, and this always happens from good intentions. Let's see how it looks like. You've got a high-energy song core, and then you want the whole song to sound just as powerful. So you write a high-energy bridge, a high-energy breakdown, a high-energy everything. It may seem like you've done a great job, but from the listener's perspective, the music feels the same for so long. It feels like nothing new is happening. Listeners get bored and lose interest. That's why it's so important to develop the form of your song. To do it correctly, you need a serious mental switch. It's important to stop treating your music as it must be cool at every second and start treating it as a waveform story told through music. This is especially important in metal music because usually guitar and vocal have the same tone throughout the whole song. If you want certain parts to feel really extreme, you need some calmer sections to prepare the listener for the next intensive wave. Form development is a real ticket to unlimited creativity. It shifts your mindset from composing what you can to composing what you need. And the waveform logic helps you to understand what is needed exactly in this specific point. This is how you can write all the other song parts without risking boredom. You can see the level of expressiveness required and write the riff that perfectly aligns with this musical theme. Let's zoom out for a second. The real problem was never you, it was the wrong approach and the lack of intermediate goals. The right way is to focus on the development phase and start from the song core. When you work this way, new parts don't feel like guesses, they feel like natural consequences. Here is the takeaway I want you to remember. Songwriting is a knowledge-backed marathon where you take one smart step after another. That's how you can turn all your riff ideas into the finished song step by step. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in future episodes.